Hello and welcome to this very special panel discussion on LawWiser. And you know what the topic is? There is no point, there's no prize for guessing the topic. It is on the opening up of legal sector, which has been awaited for the longest time. But I really like the suddenness of the announcement that happened. And there's a lot of reaction that has come from different quarters. Today we have a very interesting mix of panelists. We have Phillip D'Costa. He's from Penningtons Manches Cooper, UK. Then we have, general counsels from India. So I would want to introduce them to you. Deepika Chaudhary, who's the Executive Director APAC for Xerox India. Then we have Samit Gambhir, Vice President, Corporate Law and Company Secretary, DCM Shriram. Then we have Parvesh Khetrapal, he is Head Legal and Company Secretary, Feedback Infra. And finally, we have Siddharth Mahajan, Partner, Athena Legal. So welcome, all the panelists to this discussion, and thank you so much for taking out time. I wanted to actually start with Phillip. Phillip, you've been actually the head of India desk, and you've been actually doing business for quite some time. According to you, how big is this opportunity, and how quickly firms are going to latch on to something like this? How do you view this whole thing at this point of time?
Hi, Aman. Hi, everyone. It's great to be on this panel. First of all, I wanted to say that I commend the Bar Council of India for taking this step. I think it's great to see this step. From a personal perspective, I'm really excited by it. I think it's a step in the right direction, and it's a step on a roadmap to open the Indian market. And I guess in terms of that progress, I think it's to be welcomed. I think it's really exciting. In terms of as a law firm, we have had a dedicated India group for many years, and as you know, we've worked with Indian clients. We've worked with Indian clients who need English law help and advice and representation, and we've worked with international clients who need help in India, but obviously we can't practice in India or set up in India. In terms of the question, how do I view this as an opportunity? I don't see this as changing very much the way we operate as a firm. I don't see that as changing. I think we will continue to do what we do, working with international clients, working with Indian clients, and really trying to build the bridge between this jurisdiction and India, and sometimes other jurisdictions than India. And that's something that we see as continuing. In terms of how big the opportunity is, I think that depends on how this develops. And I take the analogy of some other jurisdictions which have liberalized, such as if I look at Asia, jurisdictions like Singapore and Malaysia and Indonesia, for instance, to take three, have all liberalized at different speeds and to a different extent. And when I look at the opportunity, I think if the opportunity is looked at from the perspective of the Indian legal market, then I think the greatest opportunity is the way in which Singapore has liberalized in terms of opening up that market in stages, restricting the operation of foreign lawyers in certain categories, but allowing and encouraging foreign lawyers and law firms to come and practice and to base themselves in Singapore. And that's also benefit, of course, the Indian legal fraternity, because a lot of them have also set up there. So that's how I see it, very much an opportunity from the perspective of the Indian legal market.
Thank you so much, Phillip. In fact, I'll come to Siddharth. Siddharth, in fact, there were a lot of apprehensions, among Indian lawyers about this entire thing. How do you think it really affects you, since it's still very restrictive in India? How big this segment really is going to be, which is where you will have foreign, law firms functioning.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So right now, Aman, the situation is, I believe that people are reading the way they want to read it. So right now, what Bar Council is essentially saying and what their clarification is that foreign lawyers and law firms can register. They can practice in India, but it will be restricted to only foreign law, and international arbitration. So one clear takeaway is that they want to make India hub of international arbitration. So like London or Singapore. So they want to develop India as a hub of international arbitration, which is also the stated intent of the government. So that is clear. What expressly they have restricted is appearances before courts and tribunals, and also conveyancing. So that I would imagine would mean real estate conveyancing, title verification, and all that. Rest everything is allowed if you read it liberally, that your transactional advisory, essentially your non-litigation work, all of it is allowed if a foreign party is involved. So if a unicorn is getting funded with foreign investors, obviously it becomes an international transaction. And in today's M&A documents, there is nothing like Indian law or foreign law except for a few clauses. So these definitions given by Bar Council of India are very subjective. They are prone to interpretation. So I would imagine, like the clarification which has come on the 19th, there will be few more clarifications which will be forthcoming in very near future. In terms of opportunity for the firm like us, because it impacts different firms of different sizes and different histories in a different manner. But for a firm like us, we take it as a very positive step, where we get to, if we get an opportunity to collaborate with international law firms, and we get to the Indian law firms get an opportunity to learn the global best practices in terms of client handling, or in terms of basically running the firms, in terms of retention of employees. I think it is very good for the lawyers. It is very good for the corporate lawyers who will be sought after now. So overall, it's a mixed baggage. But I would really think that we should wait for few more clarifications. And per se, I for one, I feel that Bar Council of India, for them, this profession is limited to litigation lawyers. So though they don't really care much about how law firms function and what the business model of law firms is. So as this goes ahead, I would imagine few more clarifications coming on the way.
Thanks, Siddharth. I'll go to Deepika now. In fact, Deepika, as a client, what it really means for you, and in fact, I have a related question to you, that when it says foreign clients, does it include MNCs registered in India? What exactly is the meaning of foreign clients?
So yeah, so first of all, I mean, I think my co-panelist, Philip talked about it, Siddharth talked about the fact that it's a welcome, move. So although it's still early to say, but I think whenever any sector goes through any sort of liberalization, it sort of helps everyone in the long run, right? It creates more growth, more opportunities for everyone. And now when we look at what it means for, let's say, companies and general counsels, so I think, again, it's pretty early, days. However, from what we know today, and even if we look at BCI's recent clarification, at least we know what is it that we can or we cannot do as clients, or what we can approach the law firms, international law firms for, or we cannot. For example, litigation is completely out. And also, if there is an advisory on Indian law to be sought, obviously, again, international law firms are not to be looked at. So does it mean that is there nothing for us to sort of go to international law firms? That's not the case, because so there are situations, I mean, I can speak from my own, experience, especially for general counsels who are giving advisory or who are managing more than one country sitting out of India. So there are situations where you're dealing with multiple jurisdictions sitting out of India. and you normally look for a law firm which can sort of cater to that need, sitting in India. Sometimes, for example, you have a question on employment law or data privacy, and you have the same question, but you have to sort of get answers in different jurisdictions in other, let's say, APAC countries. So you look for an anchor law firm, and I mean, right now we go to, let's say, Singapore or Hong Kong or any other jurisdiction to look for an anchor law firm, and that anchor law firm that sort of goes to their own offices in other countries or other law firms and sort of put everything together. So instead of that, what will happen for us now is that you will have, let's say, an India desk of an international law firm. So you will have that anchor law firm in India. So obviously it'll be easier for you to sort of, of course, they will be more accessible and they will be more approachable. And also, evaluation of those law firms for you will be easier. It'll be faster. The delivery of that advisory will be faster, because sometimes what happens is we look for an anchor law firm, we go to Singapore, and that law firm may or may not have one or two countries that you are looking for advice for. So, sometimes then you have to sort of break it into two pieces as to like, okay, those two countries we will go directly, and then you go into this whole rigmarole of, trying to evaluate the firm. And sometimes you don't really, have the wherewithal to sort of, maybe travel or other constraints included. So yeah, so that will definitely be one big plus for us to sort of, when we're looking for advisory on international laws, and, having someone in country will definitely help. The other thing I think, which is probably, not really probably, which is the focus of this move, is to basically promote, international arbitration and make India the seat of arbitration, and sort of be the preferred location, alike Singapore or London. So I think that should actually play out the way I think it's planned, but it will, I think time only will tell how, clients or, let's say subsidiaries of MNCs in other countries who are dealing with any arbitration issue in India, and then India is, a preferred location for them to arbitrate, and then having lawyers in country will obviously help, because obviously they'll save on the travel cost, etc. So that is the other area that I see playing out in the long run with this move. So I think, to sum it up, I would say that, anchor law firm is something that will definitely benefit, and ease of sort of, accessibility to the law firms who are catering to multi-jurisdictional advisory would definitely help us.
In fact, thank you so much, Deepika. In fact, that's a good point that you raised. In fact, I was coming to Sameer from the point of view of, Indian companies, because, they've specifically mentioned foreign companies. So, would, Indian companies be able to engage with foreign lawyers unless or until you are like multi-jurisdictional, functioning in different countries? That's a different story. But other than that, where do you fit in, and what it really means for you?
So yeah, thanks, Aman. I think being an Indian company, I wouldn't say that it's going to be something which is a very massive change, or the way we are dealing with the lawyers and all. But two, three things which I think from our perspective also is very good. One is that when you enter into a contract with foreign parties, maybe JV, or we're doing some kind of other contracts. So we have invariably seen that people they don't agree to put the seat of arbitration in India, because they say no, we like to keep it at Singapore or London or wherever you want to keep it, and then we have to be we also say that okay. But now I think being the foreign law firm allowed here for international arbitration, I think the foreign clients and foreign companies will be little comfortable to keep the India as a hub for arbitration, keeping in view that this is our target also, that to make India as a one of the international best practices of arbitration. And I think so therefore I think one impact is that they will now agree to India a seat in going forward, and this is just a small step actually opening up. Point is that Deepika has rightly said, whenever there's something open up, there's resistance also from the people. So there's one lobby which may not be very happy with this at the same time, but this is just an opening, and I think going forward we'll have many more relaxation. Let us understand the rules and all. And the second thing, what I'm thinking is that from the education and training point of view, for the corporate lawyers, it's going to be a very good opportunity as well. What I'm saying is that, when you pass out from the college, number one, if you're a student for your internship and all, you can now join the foreign law firms, which I understand should be allowed. It's kind of exposure you will get. Second is that even if you are a fresh lawyer, instead of going to the bar council for taking your registration, if you want to become a corporate, you can at least a couple of years work with foreign law firms. So the different kind of a grooming and different kind of a, specialization, and then, we'll be able to learn their way of working. I was telling somebody that, when we deal with law firm outside or even with a party outside India, and we are entering into maybe, for example, a JV agreement or any other agreement, you'll always see from India side, there's one GC sitting here or one guy sitting here negotiating the contract, wherein when you're talking to them, they say, no, this is our employment matter, our employment lawyer will come in and he'll pitch in and he'll discuss with you. This is something insurance matter, our insurance lawyer will come in. So I think, one way is that, either they'll learn from us, and the other thing is, otherwise we'll get into the habit, we'll also understand that there is a value in keeping the specialized lawyers in GCs also. So therefore, this is one thing we can definitely, will be in India. Overall, it's very, very welcome step, I would say. And I think we should embrace this. And so for us, though it is very delayed in terms of, implementation or allowing it, but I think as of now, our system or our legal system or even the council and all are much mature now. They can handle it now. They understand that even if there is an eventuality, they will definitely be able to handle it. And litigation, though I'm not sure very soon is going to be, I don't think so they'll open up, but I think for other matters, they'll be able to handle it. So net, I don't say we are going to get much as a corporate this thing, but definitely the quality of lawyering, the quality of corporate counsels, the quality, the basic right of your justice to get the arbitration done and basically get the arbitration quickly done, etc. They will have to learn. But yes, our judges who are the arbitrators have to really, with due respect to them, they really have to work in that perspective now that, once the foreign lawyers are there, so they will have to adopt that, for example, if you look at the court, Chief Justice of India may have 80 matters in a day, but arbitration may have only 2 matters or 3 matters in a day. That is very, rarely, but still it is taking a lot of time. While the law says that it has to be in a limited time, it's taking a lot of time. So I think our arbitrators also has to be, fall in line with that. But overall, it's a very good step, I would say. Come on, thanks.
Great. I think so far I've got all thumbs up. So I'll go to Parvesh. In fact, taking Sameet's point on, what do you think differentiates foreign law firms from Indian law firms? Is it like just the quality? What else?
Thanks, Aman, and thanks to LawWiser for arranging this talk. In fact, the hot topic of the day. Before answering this question, I would like to give my view on the rules framed by BCI and then the clarification given by the BCI. This topic is not new, right? I remember 2016, we have full day deliberation on this topic, globalization of legal services. At one of the forums, we have full day event on that. And discussion was, what is the right time to bring law firms in India? Then, then there was an issue when the RBI has allowed one of the law firms to open their license office in India. It was a big hue and cry that why RBI has allowed when foreign law firms are not allowed in India. And then the matter, and then different high court decision has gone to Supreme Court. Supreme Court has given their views in Balaji matter, where this BCI has published these rules, and the recital of those rules refers all those things, right? They have given complete recital from the day one and giving that legal profession is a novel profession in India, and we cannot be left behind, and globalization of services is required in India. Otherwise, legal profession in India will be left behind as compared to the foreign law firm. So now foreign law firm entries has been allowed in India. Question is whether in hurry or was it the right time? So 2 points. Right time, yes, I will say that this is the right time to bring foreign law firm in India, because we cannot wait for more years to make our legal services or globalization of legal services, where I understand, I know that India has content and the legal minds are there, which are uncomparable with all over any location of the globe and global location. But they have brought these rules. But on the other side, I will say the rules has been brought in little hurry. because even you have seen that SILF is also representing. I am GC, but I am not advocating the practicing lawyers part. But yes, they are representing that few of the things should be clarified in these rules. And one thought from my side is that you have seen the big fours in the accounting practice in India. They are not allowed to audit in India, right? Big Four generally do the other works, and audit firms is Indian chartered accountants who are doing that audit. But most of even all the top big four, top accounting firms, considering big 10 terms, they have their tie-ups in India. So there is single office. Everything is same. All practices are of the global practices, but the accounting, that audit is being done by a chartered accountant firm in India. So I have not seen that kind of practice being adopted by these foreign law firms. Though these rules says that you can take advice of Indian lawyers who are advocates in India, but they also cannot do litigation. They have to serve the law. They will be treated as a foreign lawyers only. They will lose their privileges as an advocate. So that one answer to my own question, that it is in hurry. Right time to bring foreign law firm. Probably they would have given some time, frame the rules and circulated to the law firms, public GCs as well, to give their view. Then it may be more effective. Like Siddharth said, probably the new clarification will come, which will further clarify the requirement of these rules. But that is the one part. Coming to your question, what differentiate Indian firms with the law foreign?
I'll just stop. I'll just one. I'll just stop you here, and to your previous one, I wanted to actually ask you. You said that this is the right time, but this has happened in a hurry. They should have actually given all the clarification guidelines first, or alongside the approval, right?
Yeah, maybe with the public comments also.
A lot of people. Yeah. There's a lot of people who are also talking about the level playing field, whether this is a level playing field or not. Foreign lawyers are allowed to advertise and do this and do that, but we were not allowed to even have a website and all of that. So, and I think by that argument, it is still not the right time. So how do you react to something like this?
See, I agree with you. So generally in case of globalization of any services, not only legal services, when you go global, so first thing, you have to strengthen your house, right? If your house is not strengthened, probably you will be overruled or overcome by the foreign parties, right? So on the one hand, as far as the content, knowledge, subject expertise is concerned, we are top of that, right? There's nothing we can say that we are behind to any of the foreign law firm or the foreign jurisdiction. But coming to your point, level playing field, that when the Indian lawyers are not allowed to market,
it's actually not my point. It's not my point. It's a point of some of the firms, and I don't endorse that point at all.
No, I
think it's a level playing field.
I go with your point, means that because you raised that point to me, so I am answering to your point. And though that point, in fact, representative of SILF has also raised those points, that why Indian firms are not allowed to advertise, and when the foreign firms will come, so how they will deal with this. See, I understand. So the concept in India is still the same. Legal profession is a noble profession. There is no need to advertise, because the profession is not based on advertisement. But the concept has gone, right? The legal profession, a decade, 2 decades back, only litigation. I will underline that it is considered as a litigation in India. And even the good lawyers who are good in litigations are considered a good advocate. And other lawyers who are not good in litigation or doing small litigation are considered as advocate. But there are no other field of corporate legal practice was recognized a couple of years back. Then the time came, the firms has been recognized with their corporate. After globalization, I will say that the foreign companies came and we expanded ourselves outside India. Then there was a merger acquisition transaction and people expanded themselves. Then the corporate legal practice expanded in India. So, and if you're doing corporate legal practice, it is totally different from litigation. Coming to the point of advertisement, yes, I understand that this Indian Advocates Act or the Bar Council should have allowed the Indian advocates to advertise, even restricted, but that advertisement should be allowed. Advertisement does not mean that they have to give a big hoardings on the roads, but they should be allowed to solicit the business in the market, because other than litigation, all businesses comes through solicitation only. And okay, so and that's the reason now the law firms are finding different ways to promote themselves, which otherwise is required. And even Aman, you will appreciate that after this.
In fact, I can't hear you. Parvesh, we lost your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
So I was just wondering, Aman, that you will appreciate that couple of years back, there was no concept of GCs in India. So that concept I also recognized when the companies have expanded themselves, there were different roles to play in the system other than litigation. So there was in-house role earlier. There was a person sitting in the office who was just helping or coordinating between the law firm and the Indian business teams. His role was just to coordinate between two. Now we are the business enabler person and strategic partners for the business. Now coming to the points that Indian firms and the foreign firms, as I told you, Indian firms are matured enough to deliver their services. But the only difference what I can see, I will second Deepika that with the foreign law firms coming in India, we have good reach to the various jurisdictions. That is one. Two, we have in the one firm that we have not seen the firms with thousands of partners in India. That concept is coming. Few firms are coming with hundreds of partners, but probably the Indian firms will also go with the thousands of partners in India with the different expertise of the all areas. Two, and three, certainly if to compete with the law firm, foreign law firm quality, they will certainly increase their quality to deal with. Three, and the four, I will say that size is the one concern. The multi-jurisdiction access is the second part, and coming to the
Okay. Let's hope for the best. So let me come to Philip and ask on behalf of the foreign firms and not just Penningtons Manches Cooper. Do you think that this is the time when firms would have thought of having their full-fledged presence in India, or do you think they will still continue pretty much the same way? Or do you think some acquisitions are on the cards, or collaborations are going to happen? What do you think are the likely routes that foreign firms are likely to adopt?
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting space, Aman. I think I don't see 50 law firms setting up in India tomorrow because the Bar Council has announced this. I think I would expect, just with that broader lens, I think I would expect firms to look at it from the perspective, just as Deepika mentioned earlier, what do their clients want? So if their clients say, look, I want to set up a factory in India. I don't know India very well, but we've been working together for 25 years. Would you come and help us? We want you to work on our contracts and to help select the Indian law firms, to work with them collaboratively to make this project work. We'd be much more comfortable if you were doing that. I think there's a business case then for that law firm to say, okay, yes, we will hold your hand. We will come to India and we will work with you on this. If you had 5 such firms doing it, or 5 or 10 such clients saying, we would like you to be advising us on international aspects, not on Indian law, not on property aspects, not on litigation, just on the international aspects of these transactions, that would give us comfort. That firm may say, well, actually, it makes sense if we're going to be spending time there to have some kind of operation. If it's going to be easier for our clients to access our services, it might be better to have some people on the ground. And so there's a business case for that to happen. I don't see it as as suddenly changing overnight. So I think it's going to be really driven by what the client wants and what the clients want in terms of service delivery and the delivery of legal services, and rather than necessarily what the lawyers want or the legal practices want, whether that's international or domestic. Because a law firm can come and set up in India unless their clients want them to be there and have a demand for that service, it's just going to be an investment. You pay the registration fee. So I think it's going to be driven by the clients. I think the opportunity, again, I flip this, is really from India's perspective, because if India is going to be the third largest economy, as predicted by the IMF, within the next 5 years, third largest economy in the world, then an opening up of the legal market and making it competitive for those foreign companies, not the law firms, but the foreign companies to come and invest in India, as opposed to in South Korea or China or elsewhere. That to me is the key differentiator. That is something that could really boost investment in India if it makes it a welcome and a real boost to foreign investment into India by saying, yes, you can have your lawyers come, they can set up here, they can guide you and assist on international matters.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Philip. So Dark, basically my next question is around the question that I asked Parvesh, around the level playing field. I mean, that's one of the contentions that's been around for quite some time. That we will, if we are not given the arms, how do you go and fight in the war? And therefore, we don't have the enough liberty to kind of market ourselves. What's your view on that point?
In terms of level playing field, advertising and marketing is one point where Indian law firms are clearly not allowed by the Bar Council rules. So
is the case. I think that would be the case, with the foreign firms also, which are going to be in India, isn't it?
Obviously they will have to adhere to Bar Council rules, but again, the issue arises in today's day and age. If Philip's firm wants to set up an office in India, nothing is stopping their global website to have India office being publicized, and all that. So which is still happening, which is not the case. See, a lot of these things are already happening. A lot of Indian firms already have best friend agreements with foreign law firms. A lot of foreign law firms, they do send referral work to their best friends only, unless the client specifies that no, this work has to go there. So essentially, like what Philip said, it is going to be client driven. So if there is a business case, obviously firms will come in, they will want to set up shop in India. But in a lot of cases, things may just continue the way they are continuing till the time the rules are clear, because SILF has raised a lot of objections, and frankly saying, Bar Council of India does not have the capacity to regulate and to really investigate the kind of rules which they have made if these rules are bypassed or they are broken by any of the foreign law firms. So that is a major concern, that there is no clarity about the rules. And another point is that at the end of the day, it really depends on the client what they want. If they want, see, in India, legal profession has many layers. So a lot of the clients, a lot of the promoter-driven companies, a lot of GCs depend, which is also borne out by your GC report, that it depends on the large extent to what is your comfort with the law firm. So in a lot of cases where there is an option between an Indian law firm and a foreign law firm, a client may very well choose to go with the Indian law firm. So a lot of it is indeed client-driven. We need a level playing field, and also it is, I think, at the end of the day, very beneficial for the legal community as a whole, because the number of lawyers who know common law, who come out of India, it is a very big opportunity for them to train, to learn. I think a lot of foreign firms would now be very interested in having interns from India. So they would learn a lot, and it is beneficial for everybody. But yes, at the end of the day, the rules need to be very clear. If we are following Singapore model, then Singapore regulator, the legal regulator, is very strict. They have a lot of compliances and they do a lot of checks. So I would imagine Bar Council of India needs to be proactive in also comforting the foreign law firms that this is going to be the norm. This is what you are going to do, and it is not going to change circular by circular. So it is not going to happen tomorrow, but yes, it is a start, and going forward, this will be opened gradually.
Okay, so okay. In fact, I'm coming to pretty much my last question, and I wanted a quick reaction from all of you. Deepika made a very interesting point about having an anchor firm which can actually anchor the client in different jurisdictions and all of that. And so that's one. And the second part is the reciprocity. Do you think these are the things that are going to push a lot of Indian firms also to, expand outside of India? A very quick reaction from each one of you. Starting from Siddharth.
Yeah, I think that is an option which Indian firms, many firms have not paid heed to it, but yes, that is an option which can be explored. And obviously, that anchor firm point is very important. But in present day and age, also a lot of clients they want an Indian firm to anchor their global matters, like Deepika gave example of data protection issues. In IP matters, this is a norm. It usually happens that an Indian firm is the anchor firm, and they have a network of lawyers all across the world. So I think going forward, that is going to increase, and this will give a little bit of more comfort to the Indian GCs.
So I think we talked about the level playing field, and I think you also said that just having a right to be able to advertise may just not do it for Indian law firms, because even foreign law firms will not be allowed if they were to play in India, right? But the other thing which I think is very important is the whole reciprocity aspect of it, because I think that's where Indian law firms, in my opinion, will actually they stand to gain, because if a country is looking to, let's say, and Philip, you talked about the fact that India is going to be the third biggest economy. And if countries are serious about playing in India, they obviously are looking at setting up shop here. And then, the PCI rules very clearly mandate that, that country should provide the reciprocity to Indian lawyers and law firms as well. So when that happens, I see that Indian law firms and lawyers stand to sort of gain out of that. And obviously, they will have to set up desks in other countries, and they will obviously do that, I'm sure, and that's a big upside, I think, for Indian law firms. But I think that area, again, like we all talked about, the fact that it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. This is an area which is going to evolve in times to come, and law firms will have to see their business case also, whether it's making sense for foreign law firms to set up shop here, and likewise for Indian law firms to go abroad and set up shop, unless it makes sense for them from the business point of view. This is something which will, I think, take some time for either to sort of do. So I think it's still a way to go. But I just want to say one thing, that with foreign law firms coming in India, I see legal advisory to become a little bit more expensive if they were to go full throttle on it, because we take a lot of advantage of our Indian friends here. Of course, they are absolutely at par as far as the legal advisory is concerned, and in fact, sometimes even better, because they also give you some practical aspects and coming out of the cultural nuances that we face on the ground, which Indian law firms are very, very well, they are like apt for that. So I think that is something which is a big plus. But I think services may become a little bit more expensive, because international law firm may not be able to give you, the kind of cost effectiveness that Indian law firms are, at least in today's scenario, is able to do with blended rates, fixed rates, and a mix of two. So I really don't know how that will evolve in times to come.
Hi. Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what has been said by my Siddharth and Deepika. I think just anchor firms. I think Indian firms, just taking on that theme, are excellent law firms. There are excellent law firms in India, and they often will be the anchor firm. They'll often project manage international multi-jurisdictional transactions very effectively. And so I don't see that as changing. That's probably going to continue, if not increase. In terms of, I'd like to just take the example of the UK market. In terms of reciprocity, the UK market opened up some decades ago. We have probably around 200 foreign law firms here. including many Indian lawyers who practice here. And that has benefited, whilst that was a challenge, I think, at the time, and a worry and a risk and a fear from the legal fraternity. It's benefited us because I think it's grown the economy. It's grown, and we're still doing work profitably alongside firms from other nations. So I think it's a real opportunity. I see this, if I actually just add something to your question, I see this as a huge opportunity for India. And I'll actually take the example of the 1991 economic reforms, liberalization. This could be as big as that in terms of the effect on the Indian economy and in terms of lifting and expanding the legal profession. So it's really exciting. It's I think really significant.
Samit, what do you think? What is the opportunity for Indian law firms? Like, do you think they're going to go international?
It will be too early to, give a viewpoint on this, Aman, because I think it will be a good opportunity for Indian law firm, definitely. But the point here is that, number one, how many big law firms we have in India? Very few. So most of the law firms are either in the mid-size or small size. Very big law firm are going to get this benefit, and they'll have their offices there. Second, what my fear is in the initial year or maybe later. Second, my fear is that, most of the lawyers, they'll be engaged by the foreign law firms. And the point is, if you are practicing individually or you're practicing with 2, 3, 4 lawyers, maybe the chances are that you will be not merged actually in the legal sense, because that is not allowed. But, you surrender your practice and you start working with the foreign lawyers, because you can always engage Indian lawyers who are not practicing or a bar council member. So they'll be absorbed by the foreign law firms like, Big Four did actually. And once this trend is there, so, they'll have a lot of good opportunities in India itself, except very big law firm definitely will go there because their brands is very exclusive and they will definitely like to go there. And so let's see, how it goes, I don't know. But I think in any case, opportunities are very good. Number one. Number two, as, Philip rightly said, there'll be chances of getting much more FDIs and investments in India now, because they will have a much more confidence, since the foreign law firm will be there to advise them on that. So economy is going to be boosted, I think, with this. This is my belief. And in terms of lawyers' quality, yeah, Deepika rightly said the costing will be high. Yes, this also I fear for us, because as of now we can always take advantage of Indian lawyers to negotiate with them. That will not be possible for us, to do that. And then Indian lawyers similarly will increase their fee rate, because foreign lawyers either they have to decrease or Indian lawyers have to increase. So that is not going to happen. So Indian lawyers definitely will increase their fee rates now in terms of competition with the foreign lawyers. But yes, for few, it's very, very good opportunity. Definitely, they will go outside India and they'll set up their shops.
Thanks, Amit. Parvesh, your view, the final view on this?
Yeah, in fact, a lot of has been already deliberated by the co-panelists on this question. But let me take this question in a way that what are the threats and opportunity for the Indian lawyers per se after coming these rules allowing the entry of foreign law firm in India. So as these rules have already excluded litigation, so majority of our lawyers in India are into litigation. I'm considering those mid-level and small lawyers who are practicing at the courts only, right? And coming to the big firms in India, those who are doing the corporate practice, they may have some fear from threat of competition with these. Earlier, they were competing with each other. Now they are foreign law firms with whom they have to compete in India. Probably the best friend relationship will be out, because now they have their own shop in India, so they don't need that best friends relationship. So the business which was coming to me as a law firm in India now has gone to, that will be done by them only. So that revenue or best friend relationship will be out. Because being GC, we know that sometimes we have that condition from our head office in US, UK, where we have been given 2 law firms name that we have to deal with them only, and also to cost saving in that aspect. So both the things cannot be managed, like big 2 law firm and you want them to save the cost also. So threat side, they have competition, but that competition will not go long, because if we are strong and they have to improve and make that competition as a competition in the sense that they will get more business. Two, and opportunity side, yes, that threat will convert into opportunity. I will say like this, that if they don't make themselves strong to compete with the foreign law firm, probably they will be out. So they have to make themselves strong expertise in all the areas to compete with them, and litigation probably will not be hit for any of them. And coming to your point that opportunity to go outside India, nothing was stopping them earlier also to go outside India, but this will give them a feeler that if they are coming in our country, we can also expand ourselves outside India, because globalization always give from both the side. We have seen FDI and ODIs are going parallelly. In the same way, when we are expecting so much of funds under FDI in India and not allowing them to bring their legal consultant in India to negotiate for them, so this probably will open that route, and Indian parties will also go, Indian law firm will also think of going outside. Last point from my side, that good opportunity for GCs, that when earlier we were trying to hunt outside the country, now probably we are reach in India at our doorstep, and probably we can get the benefit of having the law firm in India. Philip, you were saying in between something.
I think Philip has a hard stop now.
Okay, that's fine. You carry on.
No. Philip, you have a hard stop, or you want to say something?
All I was going to say was that the Indian firms are already outside India. So there are Indian firms who are already multi-jurisdictional.
Of course,
firms.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
But again, I see the Indian market as being so important that they're going to continue focusing on India, and that's going to keep them busy in any event. So there's nothing stopping them, obviously, from setting up in many jurisdictions as well.
Right. Okay. So I think what looks like is that this is a good move, and all the stakeholders tend to benefit from it, and we will come back and examine it again when there's a new circular, a new clarification comes in. Till then, thank you so much, everyone, for joining the discussion, and thanks for your time. And I look forward to kind of having you again for another discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say that DCI should not come.
Thank you, everyone.